Good morning, everybody. We're just going to give it a couple of minutes just for a few other people to join, and then we'll make a start. For those just joined, we're just going to give it another minute or so just for anyone else to join us. Just another few seconds, just wait till 32 and then I'll kick off. Okay, well, we'll get started. Well, welcome to our Outlook and Teams webinar. Thank you for coming. This is one of a series of short webinars that are focusing on various different areas within the Microsoft Cloud. Today, we're specifically looking at Teams and Outlook. I'm going to be running through a few new features and some old features of Outlook that you might not know about, which actually you might find extremely handy. And I'm also going to do a demo of lists within Teams. Ellie will be covering various other aspects of Teams, Outlook, and a bit of Copilot as well. Future webinars will look further into other Teams apps because there are so many of them, more automation, and of course, future webinars will do a lot of focus on AI, specifically Copilot and Copilot agents as they're developing extremely rapidly. But for now, today is Outlook and Teams. And I also want to just thank Ellie for putting this together. And actually, Ellie has given me a bit of a push to produce more webinars. So we do want to do this a lot more regularly. So we'll help you join. We hope you join in the future as we continue to add more content. Over to Ellie.
Thank you very much. So welcome everyone, and again thank you for joining us today. So as Andy's already briefly mentioned, today's webinar is going to be all about making the most of Teams and Outlook. For those that haven't met me yet, I think most of you have, but I'm Ellie, one of the account managers here at Keybridge. We're not here to sell you anything new today. We simply want to help you get more out of Microsoft Teams and Outlook, the tools that most of you already use every day. So Outlook and Teams are packed with features that can help you manage your time, communicate more effectively, and collaborate seamlessly across your organisation. Today we'll be sharing tips, answering your questions, and providing you with some great demos. So the agenda on the screen today, we're going to be going through the new Outlook, again discussing some of the calendar tips and smarter email hacks, going through Teams. Andy's going to be doing some demonstrations on some real world scenarios, and then we'll also have a bit at the end which we're going to go through Copilot within Outlook and Teams. So let's get into it. I've just got a poll that's come up on the screen now. If everything kind of goes to plan, you guys should just be able to click on the feature within Outlook and Teams that you can't live without. And hopefully, if this works how it should come up as responses start getting submitted. So just give you guys a minute or so to vote for that.
If that doesn't work, you can always take a picture of the QR code as well.
Andy, I'm not sure if you can see if anyone's voted for that or if it's not working. Not sure if anyone's put a vote in.
Yeah, not yet. I think the clicking's not working. I think it's got to be a QR code on this particular occasion. First time we've done this, so do bear with us.
Well, everyone kind of gets the gist of the question. Even if it hasn't let you vote for your answer, hopefully you'll have one. So I'm going to move on to the next slide now. So back over to Andy.
Yeah, this was just to remind everyone. So we've been a partner with Microsoft now for 15 years, which gives us early access to a lot of the Microsoft tech. So we've got a day at Microsoft tomorrow doing a real deep dive into Copilot AI. So the next webinar, we'll have some others on the call. Probably Martin will be joining us as well, and we'll do a deeper dive into what's coming soon with Copilot and AI within Microsoft.
Perfect, thank you very much. So this here is just showing you the difference really between the classic Outlook and the new Outlook. Hopefully you guys have mainly transitioned over to the new Outlook now. So the transition isn't just cosmetic. The new interface brings smarter navigation, faster workflows, and a much needed refresh for your inbox. So on this slide here, it's just showing you some brief key features. So we've got a focused inbox, which automatically separates important emails from distractions. Most of you might know this one already, but you can pin and flag emails, keeping key messages at the top. There's also an advanced search option, which helps you to find emails a lot quicker. There's a lot of calendar enhancements, which kind of help you to manage meetings with ease. We've got the Copilot integration, which we'll be delving a little bit deeper into a bit later on. We've got the cross-platform sync. So whether you're using the Outlook app, whether it's on your laptop or your phone, or maybe even an iPad, obviously they sync across very nicely. The accessibility and automation includes quick steps, mail rules, and improved accessibility features. So why does upgrading to the new Outlook matter? So again, as I already mentioned, there's no need to buy anything new. It's just making the most of what you've already got. It's designed to help you connect, organise and get things done a lot quicker. And again, it's built for hybrid work with deep integration into Teams and the other Microsoft 365 apps. So I'm going to hand over to Andy now, who's going to be kind of in a bit more detail going through some tips and following on from a demo.
Yeah, so I picked a few areas in Outlook that I didn't know a lot of these things existed. Some of these things have been around a long, long time. Some of them are actually brand new as well. So there's a real mixed here, real mixed bag. So I'll just run through them quickly, then I'll go through and demo all of these kind of one at a time. First one, fairly obvious, pinning emails. A lot of people still don't know about it, but it does. If you've got a massive inbox, you can pin important emails and they'll always remain at the top. And that works in all folders as well. So whether it's a subfolder, your inbox, or whatever folder it is, pinning emails, obviously, but I'll come to show that in a sec. Adding folders to favorites. Now, this is a funny one. Obviously, most people know this, but when we switched to the new Outlook originally, you couldn't add folders from shared mailboxes to your favorites. And it was very frustrating for a lot of customers. So they insisted on reverting back to the original Outlook. Well, this is now working perfectly well. So you can now add shared mailbox folders to your main favorites. Folder colors and conditional formatting. I quite like this one. Folder colors, very, very easy. You can, if you've got a lot of folders under your inbox and you want to just see one at a glance, so you know your CV's inbox could be folder could be green. You could change your invoices folder to be blue. It's really, really easy, and then they stand out from the crowd effectively. Conditional formatting. You can tell emails to come into your inbox in different colors. So you can categorize emails, but the conditional formatting is different, where it's automated. So if it's an email and you're in the CC box only, so maybe it's not as important, you could change that to a red color, so you don't need to read it. Or if you're in the to box, you could change it to a different color. And same if there's a keyword in the subject line. If you're really key to make sure you spot an urgent email with a certain word in the subject line, you can change the color again of those emails. Come on to that. Now, there's always been rules and quick steps within Outlook. I will just very quickly run through how to set up a quick step. It's so easy. And it is the same as creating a rule effectively. With a rule, you could set up a rule to maybe send an email into a subfolder. So if I had an email coming with the word CV in the subject, I could push it straight into my CV subfolder. But I might not want to do it automatically. I might want to see it first, in which case the quick step lets you choose to move it into the CV folder. But again, it saves you dragging it. It saves you finding the subfolder. Just a bit of a time-saving feature. The next one, this was new to me this week, actually. So how often do you get an email come through and it says, Andy or so-and-so, could you do this in so many weeks or so many days or so many hours? And you think, oh, I'll pin that or I'll put it into my my to-do list, but somehow you forget about it. Well, you can snooze emails and tell them to come back at a certain time or a certain day in the future. So I'll show you how to do that. I'll also show you how to find them if you snooze them by accident, because obviously you don't want to miss out on any emails. The next couple are calendar related. So quite a lot of times, it's people juggling people's calendars. If you've got a very busy schedule, you don't want to have to keep declining meetings because you're all booked up. So you can get Outlook to do that for you. The next one is really interesting, I think. A lot by default, Outlook defaults to 30 minutes or hour meetings, but invariably they're not that long. I mean, this has been put in for an hour, but we expect this to be about 45 minutes. So you can set your Outlook by default to shorten meetings. So you actually schedule a meeting and it says about half an hour or about an hour, and you get valuable time back after those meetings. You can also delay the start to meetings. So that means that instead of booking meetings in on the hour and on the half an hour, you could say, well, I want them to start at 5 past or 10 past the hour. I got a good scenario of this earlier, in that if you're in a meeting room and you're waiting for people to join, you might be getting people to sit down, making them comfortable, getting them tea or coffees. So you don't want the remote visitors to join bang on the hour. Anyway, I'll show you that, and then obviously you can choose to use it. Next one. A lot of people still share documents rather than share links. And I think this is quite important for a number of reasons. Number one, you share a document, you've then lost control over that document pretty much. There are ways to tighten up controls, obviously, with things called Azure Information Protection, and we'll come on to that on a future webinar. But without that in place, by sharing a link, you know that you've got full control over that document, because you can share a link to a document and you can restrict access to it. You can make it read only. You can also stop the recipients downloading it. You can also expire the link. So you can say, right, you can see my report or my proposal, but in a week's time, that link is no longer valid. So you know that data, yes, obviously they can take a photo of the screen if they really want to, but you've made it really difficult for that document to be out of your control. So I'll show you that. And then the final thing on the Outlook tips and tricks is just bookings links. Still, we see a lot of customers using Calendly. You pay for Calendly, I believe. Bookings is within your package. It's a really easy, quick way to let people book time in your diary that you allow them to book. So you can be very restricted about it. So you could say, for example, on my one, I've set mine to Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think just in the afternoons. And then you can set up different hours as well, different times. So you can have a half an hour meeting, a 15 meeting, and you can do different times of the week. And I'll obviously show you that. So yeah, so they're the things we'll run through. I'll now share my screen and hopefully show you some demos of these things. Okay, so you should hopefully now see I'm in my demo environment, and I'm going to run through some of those things we've just discussed. But I wanted to point out something first before I do come on to that. So you'll notice at the top, I've got some horrible mustard color branding here. This is just to show that very easily I'm not in my Keybridge environment. So it's great for us to demo to customers. But the thing that occurred to me is that still we have a few customers, I think, and that haven't used the branding. And the point is that when you're logging in to your tenant, you'll get your branding on the logon page. So you know you're going to a valid, in this case, Bob the Biscuits or Bob's Biscuits Limited. We would know if it were going to Keybridge because we'll have our Keybridge logo. If you don't have the branding set up yet, and this works on your mobile devices, it works on browsers, definitely get in touch with our team and they'll help you set up the branding, because it does prevent people logging on to fraudulent websites. Anyway, back to some of the demos. So let me go to my Outlook.
Sorry, just a quick question on the branding. Is that for business premium only, or can users that have got business standard?
Any business, any Microsoft 365 licensing.
Cool.
And we can we can help you set it up with your logo, with your coloring. And there's two different aspects. So there's setting up the branding for the apps like this, and then there's setting up the branding for the logon page that I just showed you. But it's a really quick thing that our help desk can do for you. Okay, so first thing I'm going to show you, this is probably the easiest thing. If you don't know how to pin an email, so I've had an email come in here from SharePoint Online. I want to pin it. You literally click the pin, and that will be at the top. And that also translates to your mobile devices as well. So if you pick up Outlook on your mobile, that email will also be pinned. So it does go across all your devices. So it's seamless integration there with the pinning. Snoozing of emails. Again, this is what I quite like. So this here, I've just had an email in from myself to Bob. Please, can you renew my? Please can you call me to renew in a few weeks? So I don't want to forget that. So I literally right click and I go to snooze. Then I can specify, do I want it today, do I want it this evening, or I can all the way go down to choose a date. So I'm going to put it in for the end of November. at 8 a.m. And that will then reappear in my inbox at the end of November at 8 a.m. Now, if I have accidentally snoozed that and I want to undo it, I can just go to my snoozed folder here. And the email's sitting here ready to go on the date. And I can just drag it back into my inbox if I want it back now. So I think that's a really cool feature I didn't know about. And I don't know when it was introduced, to be honest. But yeah, hopefully you find that useful. Favorites, again, this is an easy one. For those that don't know, though, obviously this could be really helpful. So I want my invoices folder to be up in my favorites. So you just literally right-click, add to favorites. Same with CVs. I want that in my favorites. Again, right-click, add to favorites. If you had multiple mailboxes, which I need to add some on here actually for this demo, you can then just do exactly the same with those folders. So you can have all your favorite folders, whether it's in your mailbox or other people's mailboxes. You can have that sitting at the top there in your favorite section. Okay, colors. This is something I just quite like. I like playing with it. I think it could be useful. And the next few things are in the settings within Outlook. So in the new Outlook, all your settings are in the cog at the top right-hand corner. Go into the cog. I think it's a cog anyway. And we'll go to Mail. And we've got a couple of options here that I wanted to show you. So conditional formatting is one. So I'll show you that first. I've just done a few here just because I was playing around. But if you to add a new rule, literally just click Add Rule. And it's quite limited, but it is still quite good. So we'll just give this a name of test. And then you can pick the conditions. So the conditions are limited, as I say, but you can set it to if it's from certain people. It doesn't have to be within your organization. So it could be important clients, important suppliers. So you could pick that. So I can say if it's from me to Bob, I can type. Oops, which I can't. And then you can choose a color. And then you can save your rule. And that should do the trick. But for some reason, that's not worked. Because it's not in my address book, I think. But you get the idea. There we go. So that's done. So if emails come from me, they'll come a nice Keybridge purple color. The next thing I wanted to show you was the folder colors. So this was quite an easy one. This is actually back over here again. So people didn't realize you can do this. I think they've added this recently. Next to a folder, you can either right click or you can click the three dots. And under here, there's a few options and one of color. So we'll have CVs are green. And when you click onto the folder, you get the solid green folder. Again, it's just aesthetics, really. Some people will use it. If you've got a lot of folders, as I say, I think it will be useful for you because it will make them stand out in your inbox. The next thing I was going to look at was just quick steps. So I've had an email in here, and it is Gary Bordy's CV. Gary Bordy wants to work for Bob's Biscuits. I want to move it into the CVs folder. I've already created a quick step for that, so I can literally just do move to CVs, and that will go to there. So it's now moved that email to here. But it was so easy to set it up. If I just go back to here again, if we click move CVs here, that's where my quick steps are. And I can manage quick steps just by clicking into here. And easy as this is also back in your settings, so you can also access this through the cog under mail and then under quick steps. And you add a quick step. And again, you've got a lot more options here. So we're just going to call this one. So I'm going to just say invoices for this one. And you can be quite prescriptive about what you do here. So you can even tell it, you can even set rules up to snooze. So you might say for certain occasions that might be useful. You can also have quick steps to pin things. But it's really is quite a lot of options here. So I'm going to go for, I thought I could do if there's words in the subject. Maybe I can't. Okay, well, let's just move. We'll tell you what we'll do. We'll move this to the invoice folder. If this was a rule, by the way, you could actually set a rule up. So if an email came in with the subject invoices or invoice, you could get it to move to the invoice folder. As the quick steps is manual, we're just going to set this up to say, if I click the button, it's going to move the item to the invoice folder. And then if I now go here, I'll just click on a random email down here. This account's been set up for a few weeks. I'm already getting spam. It's quite amazing. But now if I drop down here, I've now got the extra option, and that will move that email in. Right, the next few things I want to show you are more calendar related. Again, we're going to go back into the cog. Look under calendar this time. Some of these items I think are really quite new, but I think they're quite cool. First one I wanted to just point out, work hours and location. If you've got set hours in the office and at home, you can come in here and tell your calendar, your day, your times, and your locations. And the benefit of this is not just for you, although it's not a huge benefit to you, but it's more of a benefit to people that are putting things in your calendar, because they'll see at the top of your shared calendar a house or an office, so they'll know where you're based. They'll know, is it appropriate to do a Teams meeting or a face-to-face meeting that day? So that's quite a nice little add-on that they put on some time ago. Next thing, events and invitations. This is where the next couple of items are. So shortened duration of meetings. As I said before, you can do early events, end early or start later. I think end early makes more sense. So if I want to put a meeting in for 1 o'clock, it will default to 1:20 finish rather than 1:30, or it will default to 1:45 instead of 2 o'clock. Really, really easy to change this and configure this. You've got a few options for timings there. So if less than half an hour, or if less than 1 hour, sorry, 10 minutes, at 1 hour or longer, we'll make it a 15-minute shorter meeting. And then you'll see that in a minute when I try and add a calendar invite, you'll see the wording slightly changed and it says about an hour or about half an hour, which I think is quite cool. And then the last thing that this was something that actually Ellie wanted me to add in, I think it's quite useful. So automatically decline invitations. This isn't defaultly ticked. So if you do find that you're getting a load of invites where people are bombarding you and your calendar's chock-a-block, by ticking this, it will auto decline those meetings. Now I'm just going to go to Bob's calendar and just show you, first of all, you can see house. So Bob's working at home on Tuesday, Wednesday, back in the office on Thursday. And if I try and put a meeting into Bob's calendar, it's going to default to from 12 o'clock to 12:20. And when you click on the drop down, it now says about an hour, about 1 hour. So I think that's quite nice. Again, you get time back in your diary. Your diary's not literally back to back. You've got time to wrap things up after meetings. So again, nice little touch, and I actually think it's really quite useful. Right, before I get on to the bookings links, so I don't know how many of you have got bookings already set up and you've got it in your signature, but I think it's, again, really useful. I'm just going to show you something else that I think is quite important and quite useful. So a lot of people are still sharing documents, like I said earlier, and they're not sharing attachments. Sorry, they're not sharing links, they're sharing attachments. I'm going to create a new email, and I'm going to send a CV to somebody. So just go to insert. By the way, this is being recorded for everyone, so there will be a recording after this. So if I'm going too fast, don't worry. But as hopefully you all know how to attach a document, I'm going to go to my OneDrive, and I've got Gary Baldy's CV here. And now it used to give you the option to send an attachment first, but it now defaults to the link, which is much better. But I think some people still are dragging files in, or they're specifically saying send attachment, not send link. So we're going to share a link. Now, before you send the email, you right click this, and there's a lot more options here that you might not know about. So anyone with this link can edit. Well, I don't want that. I want them to be able to view it. And in fact, I don't want them to be able to download it. And I want this link to expire at the end of the week. So if you click into here, it now gives you a whole raft of new options. So down here, more settings. They can't download it. So whoever gets this can't download it. I also want it to expire. So I want it to expire Friday. First, and you could even go as far as to add a password to it as well to make it even more secure. But I think this is really clever. The other thing is, if you send this and then you've made a mistake, you can go back to that document, you can go into the link section and you can delete the link. So the link no longer works. So you've got full control over who has access to this document.
So sorry to interrupt you there, Andy. So when it comes to the more settings, obviously allowing you to download, would you say when you're sending a CV or you're sending confidential information to always keep it that the end recipient can't download the link? What's the best way to do it security-wise?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I also think if this is something that you want to use as a business, you should get in touch with us and we'll talk to you about Azure information protection, because that allows you to set up labels. So you can have a confidential label which automatically sets those settings. So you could have private, confidential, public, internal use only. So we can get into so much detail with you about how to control who has access to your documents. But if you're just using this, then yeah, I think it's a great idea. It stops people messing with your documents. Obviously, depends how important it is. But just wanted to show you the power of it. And by clicking, you can now see link expires October 3rd. So that was that. So the final thing before I hand you back to Ellie on the Outlook front was bookings. You must find it happens an awful lot if I'm trying to arrange a meeting with Ellie. Well, Ellie, are you free on Wednesday? And she goes, no, but I'm free Thursday. Well, I'm not free on Thursday. Are you free on Friday? No, and it could go on and on and on forever. And I'm sure you all have that already. Hence, a lot of you use Calendly. But let's show you how bookings work and how easy it is to set up. So initially, I'll just go into the cog within Outlook. A lot of people think that if you come to Calendar here, oh, that's really strange because that wasn't there earlier. If you come to Calendar and this option's not here, Bookings with Me, then you have to go to your browser first. You have to go to this page. So everyone has their own bookings page, and this is private to you until you share your bookings. So you can make a note of this, or you can obviously watch this back, but it's outlook.office.com/bookings. Now, once you set your booking up once and added it to your signature, then it tends to appear in your settings page. But obviously, doing a demo, of course, it called me a liar and it's appeared here already. But effectively, it's going to send me to the same place. When I click on here, it tells you to go to bookings, but this is Bookings with Me that is now shared to the public. So I'm not trying to complicate things too much. What I'm going to do on this occasion is I'm going to go back to my bookings page. And again, it's outlook.office.com/bookings. And once you're logged in, it obviously logs in as you. It's got my branding, so we know we're on as Bob's Bookings. By default, you have a half an hour meeting type and a 15-minute meeting type throughout your whole week. Now, that's very open to abuse. People can put meetings in all over the place and it can drive you mad. So I've deleted those two and I'm going to create a new one. So we create a booking page. I'm going to call this, I'm going to say Andy then, but I'm Bob, aren't I, for this? Bob. Type. Bob's 15 mins on a Wednesday. So I'm going to restrict this very much so that people can book in meetings with me for 15 minutes, but only on a Wednesday. And if I scroll down here, so use my regular meeting hours, I'm going to change this to use custom availability. And I can be very, very restrictive and say, I don't want anyone booking a meeting with me on a Monday, Tuesday, or on a Thursday, or on a Friday. But I will let people book meetings with me perhaps for a very short period of time, Wednesday. So let's go 8 a.m. till, other way. So 8 a.m. until, I'll tell you what, let's give them to 5 p.m. They can have the whole day. So that's now Bob. You can book 15 minutes with Bob anytime on a Wednesday between 8 and 5. Click save. Very, very easy so far. Then you can click on these three buttons here and you can share the link. So that's if you want to send people the link. But the beauty of the way Microsoft have done this is that you can much easier set up this signature. Few clicks. So by clicking on this share button over here, we can do email signature settings. And it will by default allow you to create a new signature, and we'll call it Wednesday bookings, book time with me, click Wednesday bookings, Wednesday bookings. And click save, and that will now appear in my Outlook. If I click a new email, and typical that it didn't work, but you get the idea. It would normally have appeared there, and yeah, I don't know what that is. Anyway, that was it. That was my Outlook demo. The bookings link is actually really very, very easy. That should have worked. So if you do need any help setting it up, perhaps ask the help desk, not me. but at least you know how it works and the general gist. It's a really clever tool. It's free. It's within Outlook and within 365. Saves you buying Calendly, and you can restrict it to when you want. What you can also do is you can also set up shared calendars. So you can have a team. You might have your sales team, and you could set up a shared calendar that they will put on their signature, where you're booking the whole team's diary. And again, you can be as specific about when you can book and when you can't book on there as well. So apart from the fact it didn't work, I hope that's been useful. I'll hand you back to Ellie for her next section.
Thank you very much. I think we've just got a really quick question just on this bit, just before we move on. It's just been asked if it's possible to set this up with exclaimer. I think this might be a question for you, Andy.
Yes, well, you can. It would probably be an individual link per user, because if you had 20 staff and they all created a bookings link, those links would be individual, but they could manually be put into a custom field within 365. So long story short, a bit like how you add a LinkedIn link to Exclaimer and Code 2, you could add a bookings link to Exclaimer and Code 2 as well. So the answer is yes.
Perfect, thank you very much. So I'm just going to share my screen, resume the PowerPoint. So I'm now going to be going through how to make the most of Teams. So obviously we've gone through Outlook. I've got a couple of bits to go through. I'm going to go through lists within Teams, and also the shifts and desk bookings. And then I'll hand back over to Andy, who's going to do a demonstration of that for you. So Microsoft Lists is a powerful app integrated into Microsoft Teams that can help you track, organise and manage information collaboratively. It's ideal for things like expense tracking, travel requests, employee onboarding, asset management, and incident reporting. So again, this here is so you've got some templates depending on your organisation. And again, Andy's going to be kind of doing a demonstration on how to create a list so you can start collaborating with the team. So Shifts helps frontline managers and staff coordinate work, hours, breaks, and shift coverage all in one place. At Keybridge, we use Shifts to see who's due into the office and when. The engineers probably check the schedule, see I'm due in the office, and tactically choose the other days to come in. In Shifts, you can create and manage team rotas, assign shifts and swap requests, track time and attendance, sync calendar and mobile devices, and integrate with desk booking tools for hybrid workspaces. So I'm going to hand over to Andy now, who's going to be doing a bit of a deeper dive into lists, followed by a demo.
Yes, fingers crossed this one goes slightly better than the bookings one. Let me just share my screen again. So as Eddie mentioned, lists is very good for collaboration. I've got to thank Maria, who I think is on this webinar. So Maria gave me a good idea of a demo I can do for this, which is I was going to create a suppliers list. So I'm pretending that Bob is running his ops and finance team. He wants to keep track of his suppliers, but he wants other people to be able to add suppliers to the list. He wants to be able to set reminders for when suppliers and contracts are due for renewal. And rather than use a spreadsheet, you can do it within Teams. Just so you all know, Lists is a separate application within 365. It comes with most of the 365 licenses, but we're doing it within Teams. You can also have lists within Outlook, I think. Oh no, within SharePoint, sorry. But rather than use it standalone, we're doing it within Teams. So what I'm going to do is I've got a team down here. I've got a team called Finance with a channel called General. And I'm going to come up here and click the plus. I'm going to add my list. Loop, by the way, that you can see on the screen is something we're going to look at in future webinars, because Loop is a pretty cool tool. And I know that we use it on our help desk a little bit. We use it for dynamically managing schedules and responsibilities within the team. So who is escalation today? Who's doing the network operations today? And it's quite a cool real-time collaboration that works nicely in Teams. That will be on another webinar. But if you do want any information on Loop beforehand, please do give us a call. Right, anyway, back to lists. So I've added a list here into this channel. Save. To show you how easy it is to then manipulate this list and also to then share it with other people. So you can, if you're using lists outside of Teams, you can add an existing list here. If you want to create a new one, you obviously click create new. So we're going to pop a new one on here. Now, there's lots of ways you can create new lists. So there's lots of templates, there's loads of things that Microsoft have given you, some of which are a bit bizarre, some of which are really fantastic. And then you can also import from, if you're using spreadsheets, you think, oh, I want to convert that spreadsheet into a list. What a great idea. You can import from Excel, from CSV, or you can import from another list. For this example, we're just going to start from scratch and just say, create me a list. Hopefully you can't hear the dogs barking in the background while I create this. Okay, so I created my list. Just thinking about it. Now I click on the drop down. Oh, sorry, I didn't even see that over there. Okay, so I'm going to call this suppliers 2025. Hidden by my Teams box. And then click create. Then I can now start adding other tabs. So this is like you're now working in a spreadsheet effectively. As soon as this comes up. Again, doing a demo, it's normally quicker than this, but of course today it's not going to be. There we go. Right, so it starts off, it gives you one column called title. So I'll leave that there for now. I'm going to then add a column next to that. I'm going to call this, I'm going to use, well, first of all, you get a lot of options. So all sorts of different types of fields you can use here. So similar to a spreadsheet, potentially better than a spreadsheet in many respects. I'm going to just call this next box a text box. And again, it's hidden by my team, so I'm just drag that out of the way. Right, so this is going to be supplier name. And single line of text, you can, again, change it to any of these options. You can add in default values. And you can also add calculated values. There's lots of options here, but I'm very, very simple for this. It's just the supplier name. Then I'm going to add another column, which is going to be the date and time. Click next. Renewal date. And again, you can be very detailed in terms of what type of date and time you'd like, format. I just really want friendly format you can have. I'm going to just leave it default for now. Click save. And then the last column I'm just going to put in here is a currency volume. I'm going to put in the value of the contract. Monthly. Then currency is default into America. Just change that to UK. Save. And that's it. That's how easy it is. And now to add an item to this, you can either edit it in a grid view, or you can just click add new item here. So I'm going to say that this is my payroll supplier, and they're called, oops. To Freedom. And I'm going to say that the renewal date is at the end of the year. Try. So at the end of December. And then the monthly cost, they're very reasonable accountants. They only charge us £100 a month. And you could then add the contract in. So in the attachments, you could add a contract so you can keep track of all of your documents related to that supplier. Then you click save.
Quick question on this. So anyone that's in that general chat, can they add items to this list as well? So if there's something that's been forgotten, say for example, I could add something in.
Yeah, so it's fully shared with the team. You can be very restrictive on who has permissions, but again, it'll default to who's in that team. When we come on to creating a form as well, you can see a really nice way that for even people externally can add data into that form. So I'll come on to that in just a sec. But so that's the very basics. So it's easy to add something. It's easy to add columns, remove columns. You can set permissions on who can do what. But then I want a reminder now. So I want to be told within 90 days when my contract's running out. So you can go to automate, you can go to flow, and this is really clever because it knows that there's a date in this list. It's saying set a reminder based on the renewal date. It's so easy. So you click that, and then it'll ask you how many days do you want a reminder sent. asks, it's telling you here, remind me a number of days, it's telling you what the flow is using. So Flow and Power Automate, again, we've done webinars with Martin before. We're going to do a lot more going forward because Power Automate and Flow, or what was Flow, is so powerful. But Lists is creating a reminder here using 3 components, and you haven't got to do anything. Normally, you'd have to piece the flow together. It said that it's using SharePoint, notifications, and 365. You click continue, get an email reminder after how many days? Do 90 days, click create. It's as simple as that. So Bob will now get a reminder when his contracts are running out. Last thing I was going to do on here was just to show you the forms part of it. So yes, people can come and use it in Teams, but if you want to be able to share this form with other people, or this list with other people, you can go to Forms and we'll create a form. So literally, it's saying here, create a form. There's nothing there yet. It's already added all the titles in for me. So we're going to just call this Suppliers 2025 for Bob Biscuits. You can add logos, you can make it much prettier, you can do whatever you want. You can also choose what fields, you can also pick a theme as well. And then once you've done that form, you then literally click send form. It's as simple as that. And so it's created it. I'm copying the link. I'm now going to go to the web and just pop that link in there. And that's not the right link, is it? Hold on. Link again. Now try. Still not the right link. Okay. This did work yesterday. Ellie, help me. Link's not working.
I can help you with a question that's going to relate to this.
Good.
Can forms pull into lists? We've got a question. Can forms pull into lists?
This is exactly what this is doing. So that's was probably raised just before I did this. So yes, so you can create a form and then you can link it to lists. This is meant to be doing it for me, not, and I don't know why, because it did yesterday. Changes have been saved. I've sent the form. I've copied the link. It doesn't want to work. I'm just going to very quickly try it. Hold on. Did I click on? Oh, that's me clicking on the wrong browser. Let's try it in here. There you go. That's now going to work, I think.
Looking promising.
Crossed. Yeah, there we go. So
there we go.
I was clicking it outside of my virtual desktop, so that was my silly fault. But what I'll do now is I'll click fill in another form just to show you that this then links back. So I'll call this one our food supplier for Bob's Biscuits. We'll just go to Tesco's. We've got a contract with Tesco's for a load of sugar and flour. That expires in October. Monthly cost, we spend loads on ingredients. Click submit. Then back to my virtual desktop, which I've now. Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing for 2 seconds. Pause. I've completely come out of that desktop.
So just while Andy's fixing that, I've seen another question as well, just with regards to setting up lists. So what you can always do is we can kind of reach out to you after the webinar, or you can either pop us an email, or you can phone in the help desk. And if needs be, obviously one of the team can always jump on your device and go through it, help you set that up.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Ellie. Right, now I'll go back and share my screen again. Now, yes, we're now back with back in Bob's domain, if you like, and I'm going to go out of that list, go somewhere else. I'm going to go back into that list again. And now you can see that my food supplier, Tesco's, has just also appeared in the list. And that was created on a form. And that actually shows then as well that I gave that the ability to share that form outside of Bob's Biscuits, because I actually did that for my own PC and it's gone straight through to the form. So you can restrict that. but it's good for, you could have customers filling forms in, and it will feed straight into your list, straight into your teams for all your team to work on. So yeah, pretty cool. Obviously, any questions at the end or any questions throughout the rest of this webinar, please do let us know.
I've got another quick question, sorry, before you hand back to me. So can we just run through where List is actually located? So where we need to find the List application itself. Thank you.
Within Teams or outside of Teams?
So we'll find it within Teams. So we can obviously link it in. Where would it be located within Teams?
So you add it within the channels that you need it. So first of all, under apps, List is probably here, but the way I've been doing it is if you go to the chat as usual, say I want to add in a list within HR, I'll click on General, click on the plus up here. Then I've got my apps here. So if you click on See All, you'll get a lot more apps come up.
Would you also be able to search for that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
So list is there, but you can see from here that there are so many different things. So you could, what people probably also don't realise as well, that Microsoft are trying to put everything into things like Teams. So you almost live in Teams a little bit. So down on the left-hand side here, you've also got OneDrive. So Bob can access all of his documents within, you can access his lists here, you can access his CVs, and he's not left Teams yet. You know, you're still in Teams. So it's, there's a lot more to come, and obviously future webinars will dive deeper into other things like that.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Back to you, Ellie. Despite 2 things going wrong out of that demo, it wasn't actually too bad, I don't think.
No, that was a good demo, very useful, I think. Cool. So as you've already learned from the demos and the bits we've gone through so far, Microsoft Teams and Outlook can do a lot. If you would like it to do even more, then Copilot is the solution. AI isn't just evolving, it's sprinting. From smarter inboxes to real-time meeting insights, Copilot is changing how we work, communicate, and even how we think. At Keybridge, we're embracing the shift because staying ahead means staying informed. Let's dive into what Copilot can do, how it's growing, and why it's becoming a must-have in your digital toolkit. Within Outlook, Copilot can help you catch up on long email threads. It can draft emails faster using smart suggestions and tone adjustments. The drafting email section, that's the one I use quite a lot when I'm sending my emails. It can also schedule and block time based on your calendar and what your priorities are. It can sort messages by urgency and also highlight key actions. Another good thing that Copilot can do is it can help you prepare for your day with a quick overview of all meetings and tasks. So I've got a little video here that's from Microsoft. I'm just going to make sure I share my audio also.
Here's how you can quickly draft an email with Microsoft 365 Copilot in Outlook. In a new email, select Copilot, then Draft. Copilot asks what you want the message to say and provides some suggested prompts to help get started. Let's congratulate the team on a recent successful marketing partnership. And generate. And here's our first draft. You can keep it, discard it, or make changes. Let's try make it shorter. Looks great.
Perfect. So for those of you that are unsure, obviously Copilot is an additional subscription. We have done a demo previously on Copilot and the ways that you can use it within your business. But again, obviously all you need to do really is reach out to us. We're more than happy to kind of jump on a meeting and discuss how Copilot can help your business in particular. So moving on to Copilot within Teams, I mainly use the Copilot agent within Teams. It makes me look like I've got everything under control while it quietly does the heavy lifting. Sorry about that, Andy. Maybe I shouldn't admit that while my boss is on the webinar. Having Copilot within Teams, it's like having a super organised colleague who never takes a lunch break. Within Teams, Copilot can summarise chat conversations so that you're never behind. It can recap meetings even if you've joined late. It can generate action points and follow-ups from discussions. It does also do this live. So if for whatever reason you're too busy cuddling your dog or doing something else while the meeting's going on, it can always generate these points as you go along, and you can obviously interrupt and make it sound like you're listening to what's going on. It can answer questions about your schedule, documents and shared files, and it can also support real-time collaboration by integrating with Loop components and Power Automate. Again, as Andy mentioned earlier, there'll be some more demos coming up on Loop and Power Automate. I've got another video here on Copilot within Teams.
Here's how you can perfect your messages in Teams before hitting send with Microsoft 365 Copilot. With a message already started, we'll select the Rewrite with Copilot icon over here. Copilot gives us a quick suggestion. We can choose to replace our message or adjust and try again. Let's choose Confident. Keep rewriting and adjusting until you find the right voice and tone. Then select Replace. Make any final adjustments and send.
Perfect. So that's obviously showing you a little bit more, again, what Copilot can do within Teams. For those of you that don't know, Copilot does integrate into all of the 365 apps, but obviously just for the purpose of today, being getting the most out of Outlook and Teams, I just thought I'd show you the application within that. Perfect. So I'd just like to say thank you all for joining today's webinar. Again, as Andy briefly mentioned at the beginning, we're aiming to kind of create a webinar every 2 months just to keep you and your businesses up to date. We do have a bank of previous webinars. So we've done one on Copilot, and the one before that was making the most of 365 as a whole. All you need to do to access these is just contact either myself, Andy, or even send an email into the help desk. Before we wrap up, we'll be hanging around for a few minutes afterwards. So if you've got any questions, now is the perfect time to ask. We're always here to help, whether it's a quick query or a bigger challenge, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, just
Thank
to
you,
reiterate
guys.
what Ellie said, thank you very much to everyone that's come. And yeah, glad you found it, Russell.
Any questions, guys, just pop them into the question box, and me and Andy will be sticking around for a couple of minutes just to answer any questions you've got.
Just give it a couple of minutes, Ellie. Hi Ben, thanks for the question. No, it's not common. Sometimes Microsoft does have indexing problems within Outlook, so that can affect searching. Could be that it's an issue with your Microsoft 365 tenant. But give our help desk a call or drop Ellie a line, and we can try and help you out.
See, we've still got a couple of people sticking around. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to just pop them in the box.
Thanks very much again for today. Hopefully we'll see you at the next webinar.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, actually, one more question's just come in. I don't know the answer to that, Emily, but we will look into it for you. I would hope it does, because it's come on so much recently. But yeah, let me look into that and we'll come back to you.
Yeah, for anyone that's asked any questions that we haven't come back to, because I can see there's some in the Q&A box and some in the chat, we'll make a note of those questions and we'll send you over an email directly with the answers or give you a call.
Brilliant. And again, thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you next time.
Thanks all.